Hi everybody, this is Julie from Bougie Crafter 80. I had to laugh. Tiffany, you all know who Tiffany is. She asked me what my handle was or whatever, and I said Bougie Crafter 80. She's, of course it is. She's such a stinker. Okay, so I finally have this organized, I believe, to show you gals how to make the Pokey tools. And a lot at my, well, there was four of us at my table at the retreat, and they all wanted me to do a video. So here it is. And I'm starting from scratch for those that have never made a Pokey tool before. So I've got here, I know you're probably thinking, oh geez, we know all this stuff. But, some don't. So I put little notes here, and I'm just going to explain everything, what it is. And if you already know what it is, then, you can maybe fast forward or whatever you want to do. But some of them don't. And when you look them up on Amazon, or if you're searching Google, trying to search it up to see, this will kind of tell you. I searched them up beforehand, and this is what it told me the proper name of them were. And if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me in comments, because I'm not a professional at this either. So anyway, let's just get started here. I have let's see, so here's where I start, is with these little, this is called a turkey lacer. And I like this because you can tie bows from up here. You can do different things with the top part of it, but you have to make sure that this is closed off, or your beads are going to go on through. Like this is big enough, it's not going nowhere, but you want to close that up or you're probably going to lose things off the top. And this one is my favorite. It is called an upholstery needle, and they're both 6 inches long. This one is probably my favorite. If you can see, I'll hold it up to the window. It's got the little eye hole in there, so you can take your extenders or your little clasp here, and these will hook into there. You kind of have to force it, but these I like because you can hook things onto there, and that's how you get your dangle. Let me show you a few of them that I've made already. See here, I've got them hooked through here, and then I put my charms on the dangles. Let's see, I will show you some. Here's another one that I did, and as I go, I'll pick these up and show you where they go, what they're called, where they go, and whatnot. Here's another one I made. The purple one, of course, purple. And hopefully I'm in the screen here so you can see. And then these are little glue stoppers. The only thing with these is if the needle is too far down in there, you're supposed to use stainless steel, because anything else will turn your glue. And I've had it happen. It'll turn your glue kind of an orange, but it only did the top part that it was touching. It didn't go clear on down through the bottle. But you use stainless steel so that it won't change the color of your glue. The only thing, I don't have a problem with these because they don't go down that far, and I just don't fill my glue all the way up to the top. I'll fill my glue like to here. Well, as you can see, that's not going to touch my glue, but it is going to stop the hole from letting air in and clogging your glue. So that's what I use these little guys for, and I'll show you what I get. But they work really good. I think I've got that plugged already. Here's a couple more that I've made. And they're fun to make, these little glue stoppers. They're just cute to have in your bottle. And I put a bell on them because if I lay them down on the table and can't find them, well, if you bump it, you're going to hear it and find it. Where if you just have your needle cap, just a needle laying there, I'm always losing it. I'm dropping it on the floor. And I don't know, hopefully my table mates aren't going, oh my God, that bell of hers is driving me crazy. Hopefully that's not an issue, but I like to put bells on the end. You'll see I've done that on most of them. And what I use for the glue stoppers are these brooch pins. This one's a little longer. But if you Google it up on Amazon, I believe what you're going to look for is brooch pins. And you get a ton. You get a ton of them. And I do have 2 sets of these. I think these are a little shorter than my other. I like them to be at least 2.5, 3 inches. And this is probably 3. I'm not sure here. But that one's 3. But the others are not quite 3. Then the other thing that I use, this is called a cocktail pick. But as you can see, I make sure I'm in camera here. As you can see, it's a little thicker than this one. But they're cute to do just little short 4-inch pokey tools. But like I said, my favorite is the upholstery needles. And I do really like these two, the turkey laser picks. Okay, then next I've got these, and these are chain extenders, and that's what I use right here to hook on. You can see this one here I used a a jump ring to hook that one on. So there's different ways that you can hook them on, but you're going to definitely need, if you want the dangles, and some people maybe don't want all that dangling. Maybe they just want this. So, then you don't need to worry about these. And then the next thing I have is these. These are called head pins and ball pins. And what you do with these is you make your bead, you do your bead dangles here. And some of them come with just the ball on them, and then others come where they have the head on them that's already got the circle. And you've got all the tools. They come in all different sizes. They come in gold, silver. And let's see. These are the tools that I use. This here little wood thing is called I had to write notes. I looked them up on Amazon so I could see what they're called. This is called an organizer plier storage rack. This one here is called a wire cutter. These two are called needle nose pliers, and that's what I use to get my chains apart. I use those to take my chains apart and put them back together. Like this. So that's what I use for that. And then I have this one. And this one will, let me show you this here. This one will make you your little curve at the end. And then you just cut this off with your nose pliers, your wire cutters. And this one here is called, a one-step looper. And what you do with it is you put it in here. I don't know if you can see that hole right there, but you put that, let me get a different one. You put that in here. I have already made one. And you go like this, and it cuts it off. Supposed to. It cuts it off and it makes the little loop for you. I really, really like this one. It's pretty handy. And then these are called bent nose pliers, and I'm not sure what they're for. And then this is to get a hold of your jump ring and to pry it apart. This will pry apart your jump ring so you can fit your charm on there or whatever you're trying to put. So those are the tools I use. And then I always have a pair of tweezers close by because I always use tweezers. That's about it for tools. Then I have these little gourd. These are called gourd safety pins. And that's what I put on the end here. And you can either hook your chain through this eye, or you can just, this is kind of a cleaner look. You just put this gourd pin on there and then you hang your chain extensions from there. So I really like those too. I use those a lot. And let's see, jump rings are these. These are called jump rings if you're looking for them on Amazon. And the kind that I like where they go almost a little further around. I don't like the kind that kind of like this, that meet up, because when those come apart, your things are going to fall off. Your charms are going to fall off. But these come all the way around, and like this almost has a double. I don't know if you can see those in the camera. Hopefully I'm in camera. But these almost have a double. It's so tiny I can't even, yeah. But you'll see on Amazon or wherever you look them up at. Okay, then I have, these are bead end or bead caps, these right here. And these I like to put right here. You put them around a bead, and they just kind of fancy up your bead. Or this one here, I've got a larger end cap so that my beads won't fall off the end here, because this hole is small enough that it can't go past that eye. And then I just put a little end cap right there, or bead cap is what they're called. And this one here, I put one at the very top here, and then I didn't put any until I got to the very bottom. And so that's what I do with those. Then I have bead spacers, and I use those all the time, almost on every pin. And you know, you don't have to. This is what I like to do, and this is what I use. So, you know, you don't want to spend all this money. You know, you don't worry about, you know, I mean, you just, you do you. You do what you like, and you'll learn what you like to use, what you don't like to use. But these are called spacers. There's another one of those. These are called spacers, and they just go in between your beads to maybe fancy it up a little bit, give you some bling. I use these a lot. I have a big container of those. I use these a lot because it just gives it some bling, and I like bling. Okay, and here are some flatter ones. You've got flat ones that look kind of like this right here. Can you see that? So there's that. And here's a bigger one. I'm not sure if I'm going to like that. That would have to go on quite a large bead. And then here's some longer ones. So they make all kinds, all kinds. Okay, then these are pin safety end caps. They're very important because I poke myself a lot. So while you're making it, in between, you could always have one of those on there. But when I gift one of these, I always make sure, and I usually use these. These are my favorite. They are metal, and then they have a cushion in there that this pin pokes in. But there's no opening on this end so that the bead can't poke on through. Where if you're using one of these, you may get your bead to poke on through. But I never, like if I'm going to a retreat or if I'm gifting one, I never put it in a bag without putting an end cap on it to protect yourself from the pin itself. Okay, then we've got, these are spacer beads, but they have a loop in them. So they are called spacer beads with a loop is what it pretty much told me on Amazon. And what you do with these, you take them and you slide them on, and then you can hook your charms, like this little bat charm. You would take your jump ring and you hook it onto this little bat, and then you would take that and hook it onto here, and then you're going to have a little dangle from the middle of your bead instead of up here from your chain. So that's what those are. And they come in all different shapes. They come in these little plastic ones that come in several different colors. Those come in several different colors. And I really like those too. Okay, last thing. I think this is the last thing. No, that's not the last thing. Okay, the last thing, when I finish one of these, usually, let me show you the glue that I use. This is the glue that I use. Eileen's The Ultimate, and this is really ultimate. This is good stuff. I really like that. It's a professional strength resistance professional. And then I also use the B7000. I don't know what brand they are. I can't find a brand, but I use B7000. I also have a B6000, but I don't use that as much. I think B7000 must be stronger, so that's what I use. But if I'm gifting one of these, I always glue them. And I'm not going to do it right now because I had just got my nails done and I don't want glue all over my fingernails. So what I do is I normally, if I'm gifting it, I will glue them. And then on the very end, I'll put this little tiny earring back. And these are called earring backers. And this one has a hole in it, but it is not as tight. It goes on tight, but not as tight as this little one. So I'm going to see if you can see these in my hand. Hold it up here. These little earring backings, you've all got those. And you can get those in a package of them. But these are the different ones that I have. I have several different types. So, yeah, that's those. Okay, and then I believe the last thing are these. They're called bales. Like a bale of hay. B-A-I-L is how you maybe spell them. I'm not sure. But what they do is, I've done a little witch here, or a, what is he? Little ghost. And cabochons are flatbacks. And like I said, I'm saying this, I know all you guys know this stuff, but some may not know what a cabochon is. And I didn't when I started. And if I would have ran across a video like this, that would have helped me a lot finding things. I Googled and Googled and Googled, and it took me forever to find things. So if you've got any questions what these things are, just shoot me an email, or not an email, shoot me put in comments, and I can get back to you what I called them or what I found them on Amazon. So these are called bales, and they just go on the back of beads that are flat, that you don't have. Like, here's another example of, like, if I wanted to turn, great, what I do, okay, like these are cabochons. This is the front and this is the back. It's a flat. Now, like, here's one, but it has a hole through it. So, but they have to be flat on the back or it's not going to stick. Here's some little tiny ones. So you put glue on here and you stick it on there, and then you just got to set it aside for almost a day. It just took quite a while for that to, unless you put an air dryer to it or something. So that's what I use those for, these little bales. So then you've got your dangle. You can dangle that from your chain. You can dangle that from this thing. So that's what those are. So let me show you how I make them. So I'm going to use these right here. And I've already got this on here because this hole's large enough it's going to go on through. So I put this black gourd pin on there so it can't fall through. I don't know if you can all see that. Hopefully my lighting's okay. And then I would take, and another thing I like to do, but like I said, you do you, is I start with the largest and go on down to smaller, because when I'm hanging on to them, I don't want a big chunky bead there. I want something that's nice and easy to hang on to. So I usually put smaller beads at the bottom. And you see this right here, this kind of bugs me right there, that little thing. So I may even change that out. But this here, I went from a little larger on down to small, because it's just easy to hang on to. But if that doesn't bother you, then you do what you like. There are a couple things I forgot to show you here. These are called polymer clay beads. And I love these little things. You can do anything. You could use them for, see, very sharp. You could use them for spacers. You could put one of these through here and you could make it, you could put one of these through here and you could make it a dangle, so you've got your little loop on the end. So you can dangle it from the side or you can dangle it from here. So I use these little polymer clay beads. I use those a lot. I love them. But you can get them in all different holidays. anything. But these are probably some of my favorite. But yeah, you get them in Halloween, Christmas, whatever. There's just tons of them. And then these are called focal beads, if you Google those. And what I'm going to do with this, so let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of those around that bead. I kind of like the look of that. And then what I do, all the focal beads have holes in them. And if they don't, I don't know why not, because most of them do. So then you put your little focal bead on there. And then after that, you can put a spacer. And so what I do with this glue is I put glue, I take this and I squeeze just a little bubble of it right there. And then I, you know, scrape it off with that. And then I take this and I push that up. And it's not, I might almost put glue in the middle there, because where the glue is going to help the most is on this bead. So then the next thing I would do is put another little dab of it and push that up. And I would just do the same thing all the way down to the very end. And so, yeah, so then you put your spacer next, and then you go, let's see, and there's different size beads. This is a 20 millimeter. Is that what I'm trying to say? This one, I believe, is 16. And then they go on down, this might be 16 or 10. They go on down to almost 4. You know, they've got like this. I'm guessing that's probably a 4, maybe a 2. So there's just all sizes of beads. This one here might be an 8. So there's just all sizes of beads that you can use. But I like all the different sizes because, like I said, I like them, you know, to be asymmetric. I don't know what you call that. So then next I would put the next size bead on there. This. And then I would put another spacer. And I don't know, you can put whatever kind of spacer you want on there. I like them to match, and I don't know why, but I do. And then next you could do a bow, unless you thought that was too much, too gaudy, you know, unless you like that look. Or I have this little ghost. You could put the little ghost. You could put him, and then I would do another spacer. And then, you know, just next I would put a next, you know, smaller one. And I usually end it about 1.5 inches up, because you don't want beads, I don't know. You can go down as far as you like, but I usually go where I have about 1.5 inches or so left. So then the last thing I would do is put my last, or you could put a, I don't know if this will fit. No, not gonna fit. So you could put your very last one, like a bead cap, to kind of finish it off. See there, kind of finishes it off. But I think if I did that, I might do, let's see, this kind of a number. Put that, and that might be how I end it off. And I would probably maybe even put some around here. I don't know. Sometimes if I use the bead caps, I don't always use a spacer. And then the very last thing I do is I take this earring backing, and it's hard to get on there. You got to really be careful. You got to press down if you got fingernails. And so if I could get it on there to start it. So if you got fingernails, I just press down on both sides. You got to be so careful because these things are, they're needles. They're needles. Okay, and this thing is so tight that this little earring backing, but then, like I said, you've got different ones that aren't as tight, but these are my favorite. These little bitty, I don't know, they got a ridge kind of all the way around them, and I just don't think you could probably see that. It's too tiny. So yeah, and what I would probably do in the middle here, I probably would have put one of these in the middle and then hung this little ghost from, or this little bat from it. You know, I would have had that look. So yeah, that's about it. I think I've explained everything that you need for supplies. And like I said, if I've offended anybody, I'm sorry, but for those that are beginners, I would have loved to if somebody told me what all this stuff is called, because it took me forever to Google it all. Let me look. Here's my beads. I have a huge selection of beads. I used to have a shoe and purse fetish, which I still do a little bit, but now my fetish is beads. I just love beads. These are little earrings that I take apart and use. Here's another little earring. I would do that whole earring. Isn't he cute? That, and now here, another thing that I haven't told you about. There's a thing that's called, it is called a rotary tool. And for cabochons, there's a little rotary tool. It's probably about, I don't know, 4 inches long. And then there's a needle. I don't know if I want to call it a needle. It's not that sharp. But there's a little grinder. It just looks like a little grinder, kind of. It's called a rotary tool. And the needle thing is about this long. And what you can do is you can drill a hole in this bat's wing, because there is no, I thought there was a hole that went through to his belly, but it doesn't. And so what you would do is you could drill a hole right there. You could drill a hole through his belly. And then you've got your bead with the hole in it. And you can use that. Like this hat here doesn't have a bead, but maybe I could drill up through the bottom and I could get a hole to come out the top, so I could use that as a focal bead. And let's see, what else? See, there's all sizes, and here's these polymer clay, all different types of those. Let's see. These I haven't quite figured out. They're supposed to go around a bead. They're supposed to go on each side of a bead, but I can't get the look that I like. So if anybody has an idea what I could do with those, see, it kind of looks like a cracked egg. If anybody has any idea what I'm supposed to use with these, I just can't find anything that looks cute, but I love the look of them. So there's those. And then I got, yeah, like I said, I have tons. I have more. This is not my craft room here. This is my guest bedroom. And it has a window. Well, my craft room has an egress window. It's downstairs. So I bought a desk and put it in here, and I use this in the summer so I can look out the window, and my husband hates it. It's the first room that you see when you walk in the house, and I get it so junky looking sometimes. So yeah, I need to, this winter I'll move back downstairs, but there's just all kinds of beads. And so yeah, a lot of my stuff is downstairs, but here's this one. Isn't he just adorable? I just love that little guy. He's so cute. But there's just so many to pick from. I mean, yeah, these are all Halloween beads. And then I have a couple that are all Christmas. And so anyway, you can get, here's some cute ones. This has a hole in it that you could use like as a little focal bead. It says boo. So just, and then here's the bells. I've got different color bells. And you do whatever you like. You don't have to do what I just told you to do. You just do whatever you like and come up with your own thing, which I'm sure you will. And yeah, have fun, because it's a blast. I'm addicted. Oh, another thing. If you're my table mate and you learn how to do these, sorry, but you're still getting one, because I love to make them and I love to gift them. And I can make 100 and keep them myself, but what am I going to do with all those? So you go ahead and learn how to make them, but you're still going to get one as my table mate. So anyway, I hope I've covered everything. And if not, just message me on my email, and like and subscribe. I need some more followers. I'd love to have more followers. And also in Instagram, if you wanted to follow me on Instagram, I have albums and quilts and fun things over there that I've made. And it's also Bougie with a J, Boujee 80. And I have all kinds of stuff on my Instagram, but that's my handle, or whatever you call it, handle. That's all CB talk, isn't it? So I don't know what they call that. I don't know what they call it, but that's what I am on Instagram as well. So yeah, have fun and just do your own thing and have a blast. Thanks, everybody. Bye.